Hello, everyone. I am back and we're continuing for today. Something I've been thinking about is I want to have a more consistent schedule for streaming. I'm just having to work around a bunch of stuff right now. So that's something I want to focus on in the future. Is there actually cream that looks like this? This color of the yarn is called cream. It's really pretty, but I feel like if maybe I'm just used to super pasteurized stuff, but if it's almost yellow, is it safe to drink? I don't know. I forgot to get out the stuffing. I've got to get that too. This will probably be a few streams at least, just because there's so much stuff to make. You have to make a little flower and all the details, but it's so pretty. I've been thinking about the haunted house and the gothic horror idea, and I wonder if originally why you'd have to start repairing stuff is just to get through it and just get rid of all the monsters like pests. And then they're like, "Hey, we had to build this bridge to get over the upstairs hallway, otherwise we would have fallen right through. What if we did that to more of the house? Or the stairs, they've caved in and we had to repair them, but what if we just did that to all the stairs?" A lot of people in the village would probably not want to live there, but maybe the main character could. They might not start out going, "Yeah, let's reupholster. That's just what you do for furniture. Let's fix the whole house." But eventually they're like, "Huh, we're already helping out. Maybe we should finish it." This says we're supposed to start stuffing in the next row, and I'm not sure how it would stay put, so we'll see what happens. Ah, no. It's gonna be so cool when it's all done. I love crocheting because it almost reminds me of sculpting. When I do it really well, everything looks so round and smoothly connected. That's really amazing to me. I'm not necessarily opposed to there being, like, any kind of physical harm in this, gothic horror idea. This may see a lot in horrors, people getting hurt, surprise, surprise. I just feel like that's not necessarily what I want the focus to be on, at least not right now. And I feel like it's easy to make that like cheap or to just have there be violence without really a purpose or it doesn't really say anything. Where a lot of mythology around hauntings comes from is unexplained happenings. So I wonder if I could play that up, like things going missing or people getting lost or people being like harmed or inconvenienced in some way. And eventually it gets kind of scary. And that's when people are like, huh, we should do something about this. Like, okay, I think I could stop that. Maybe like been going missing. So people like try to follow the, again, like the fairies that are like stealing it. And where they keep going is this big, creepy old haunted house. Yikes, probably don't want to go in there. And if they try to go in there, it just like gets worse. There's more and more just like monsters. And that's the point where they go, well, I think we're gonna have to call for backup. And they're not Ghostbusters, but I don't know what they're called. 1 second. I always have to close up my yarn closet because if I don't, one of my cats will try to eat it. And I don't know why he thinks yarn is like tasty, not just like to play with. Like he actually ate it once, and I don't get it. I wonder if I should make it so people have like gone missing and they're stuck in a haunted house, because that would obviously be a big, big deal. And the main character could be called in to like dispel the monsters and help rescue whoever's been taken. Would there be multiple people? Something I was thinking about is the purpose of horror is obviously to scare people, right? And in a lot of quote unquote conventional horror, like cosmic horror does not scare me one bit. Mm, If it's like animated, generally like blood and guts don't really scare me. But what does scare me is things like being trapped or like not being able to feel things or being assimilated. So I wonder if what I should focus on is like what scares me personally. Because if there's something that can scare me, there's probably somebody else out there who's the same way. And that's who should be the target audience. I think this is going to be the head and the body just all crocheted as one piece. So that's pretty cool. Not every pattern does that. So it's fun to see. I don't know if you can hear it, but my neighbor's dogs are being very loud right now. So they might just be in the background and they're just kind of here. I think, I don't know if this is the case for every single thing, obviously, but a lot of unexplained happenings, those get attributed to like fairies or mythology. So maybe in this case, they could be like haunted toys. I could stand to stuff that a little more. Okay, so the next one is just going to be normal single crochet. And then I'm going to start increasing again to make the body. That'll be cool. If I'm not being clear about like the toys and emotions and stuff, at least once someone's an adult, they obviously can choose how they respond to their environment. You can't always control if like your mom and dad were like evil CEOs that you can decide if you're not evil. What I'm thinking about with the toys is if they're closer to kids and, because kids play with toys and they've never really experienced anything besides that. So they may not really get that what they're doing is wrong. Sort of like the Four Treasures of Ruin from Scarlet and Violet. They're just kind of here, they're doing what they've always done, and they may not totally get that it's like bad, but obviously it is. So that's something they're going to need to learn. That might be something I really play up with the community and main character aspect as they realize, like, I didn't really do anything to help these guys before, and now they're just kinda here, but I can be like a better role model than a bunch of evil CEOs. I can show them what it means to be kind to others or to share with people, to not steal from people, things like that. Even if they didn't know it was happening before, maybe the people in the community could see like, oh, this bat that we thought it was like trying to like bite us. Now I see it and it's just trying to eat people's emotions. I didn't realize it was being scary, but I can tell them that was scary. Here's what you should do instead. Sort of like being a mentor figure, like a teacher or a parent. Decrease instead of increasing, gotta fix that. It's kind of fun and whimsical to think about like a town that's where there's people and some of the residents are just living toys. Isn't that fun to think about? Maybe that could be part of the happy ending. It could be almost like a reward for having helped people and taken care of the old house, showing the toys how to be better people. Is everybody's safer now and they're happy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I wonder if you should have to worry about like making things because I'm making something right now, which made me think about it. For example, if you have a really old house that no one's been living in it for a while, it's all dusty, it's dilapidated. At that point, like imagine the bedspreads are going to be all dusty, probably moth-eaten, full of holes. Should you have to like sew those? Weave and sew them? That might be too much, but it's something to think about. I wonder if I could get away with having indoor plumbing in this. I don't know if that was like commonplace in like Victorian England during this time period, but it's just like it's a convenience, you know. I don't want people to have to go without it. Just stuff this a bit more, but I can probably do it all at once at the end. Although it might be hard to do with this part. Should you have I'm imagining the old furnishings that are made of like metal that someone had to forge and like twist up. I don't know what they're called, but I've seen those decorations that you would like put on your wall and you would like hang your hat on them. Should you have to forge those? There's that whole thing where Norse people were trying to infuse their swords, the spirits of their ancestors, so they used ashes and accidentally invented steel. Maybe you could do that with emotions, you know, whether you realize it or not. The emotions you have while creating something end up in it. So maybe the characters could decide to put like joy into things or caring. Yeah, I wonder if I should emphasize the creation of things because the toys, when they were created, they would have been infused with negativity, like greed or just anger, the wish to do harm, or like not caring if you do harm. And you might not necessarily be making toys to fix everything, but by emphasizing how you build or rebuild things and the emotions you put into that, and by asking the reader to do that in like a positive way, that could show where the old villains went wrong. It could show what you should do. The overall power system that I want this main character to have, at least right now, again, this is all subject to change, is they have the ability to kind of weaponize their emotions and not necessarily just use them as a weapon, though they fight monsters sometimes, to like externalize them and use them to affect things. You've probably seen similar things in some games or other media. So I'm trying to think of a way to visualize it. It would be kind of like if they were asked to help make like a blanket, for example, and they wanted to like dye it, they could reach out and touch the dye and they could focus and put the energy of like joy or hope into it. And that would infuse the blanket. If they wanted to fight monsters made out of negativity, for example, then they'd have to hold on to like their positive emotions and that would help protect them. And that would like dispel them. It's kind of like the archetype of like if there's a monster made of fear, then you have to hold on to hope. If you have to fight like a monster made of sadness, then you have to remember what it's like to feel happy. I'm not awesome at writing action, at least not right now. I'm not super experienced at it either. So I don't just want to focus on that, but I think it could be cool to take like things that you feel in your body or in your brain and turn them into something that you can see and touch. I can probably start stuffing this again soon, but I don't want to right away because I haven't actually crocheted that much, it just tends to fall right back out. It's gonna be so cute when it's all done. Right now it looks almost like a little chess piece. Even if it wasn't the making on things, I wonder if the focus on rebuilding or repairing things would be helpful. Kind of like repairing a relationship, or if some here we're comparing the toys to kids. Maybe they don't have a very good idea of what it's like to be normal. So this could be like repairing that. That's a bit better. I wonder how popular legends about fairies were during this time, during the real Victorian era, because I feel like it's easy to imagine them hiding among flowers or in gardens. And I don't necessarily want there to be real fairies in this story, but if maybe people had dolls or little figurines of them, that's something that could be fun to talk about. I kind of imagine this like a video game where you have to look really carefully among flowers or leaves and go like, is that a flower? Or is that like a toy meant to look like a flower? That could be really interactive, but I have no clue how I would make a video game right now. So I don't know, maybe I should stick to my strengths, which is writing. feel like I have a bad habit of stuffing my crochet too much, and it kind of stretches out and looks weird, so that's something I'm trying not to do this time. My style, like my drawing style, is pretty cartoony, so I don't think I'm the best person to illustrate like a gothic horror Victorian story. But it could be really fun to look for someone who can. I love getting to explore other people's art and see, even if they're all drawing the same character, how so many people will interpret them in different ways. It could be fun to find someone whose artwork looks like it comes from the real time period and have them illustrate something in the now. Or even if that's not like their regular style, someone who can do that style would be so awesome. This looks kind of like a mushroom right now, doesn't it? It's not. It's going to be adorable. When I think about toys or objects being haunted, I'm not just thinking about like humanoid or animaloid figures. I think it's cool when you have an object that doesn't have a recognizable face, like a dress or a string of beads, and they move around. They like climb up things. Maybe they maybe they act like they have expressions or they can speak even though they don't have faces. Like if they're sad, maybe the beads would droop. I might not have them all talk, but I feel like that would make them more animaloid, more like animals than like having human emotions. So I'm not sure. Let's add a little bit more stuffing. Trying to find my sewing needle. I really need to put it in a better place than just the pocket. Okay, that's the first part done. Super cute and round. Next, we need to do the tail. And to do that, we're going to need some green. This shouldn't take too long. So I'll probably do this, or at least part of this, and that'll be the end of today's stream. There is another story idea I have that focuses with the same power system of emotions getting attached to objects. But there, it's less focused on the making of objects, and it's more just when you spend a lot of time with something, maybe your feelings get like attached to it. Like if you hold a book and your hands are like covered in Dorito dust, just like yours, chat, then eventually the Dorito dust is going to get on the book and you're going to make a gross stain on it. So I hope that's enough to help keep these two ideas distinct. And there is other stuff to them. It would just take a long time to explain. I did wanna talk about emotions as well, but the idea I have is less like, um, start over and show people what a positive emotion is, which here people would be doing for the toys, like you would be doing for kids, showing someone how not to be evil. There, in the other story, the focus is more on, if you don't manage your emotions, eventually they're just going to happen. Like if you don't find a way to manage being stressed out or angry, eventually it's just going to pop out at an inconvenient time and it's going to cause problems. So, what I'm thinking about is having that story and the Gothic horror idea happen in the same universe. So they share a power system because they're similar enough already that I don't think it's really worth it to make them completely different. I think that would be redundant, but they're not like saying the exact same thing. It's kind of like if you had two different stories that took place in the Star Wars universe, but they're each saying a different thing. I don't think you should have to read one to understand the other, but it could be fun to have like Easter eggs. Like, oh yeah, this other Ghostbuster. They went to visit this town in the mountains, and when they came back, they yapped about toys all the time. I don't know. It's interesting how as the Flabebe line grows up, it seems to be fused with its flower. I don't think you're expected to think about it too hard, but it's cool. Like maybe they're nature spirits. This says to slide the tail over the body. Not right now, once you're done it. So I'm hoping by that time, this is like the right size to do that because I don't think this would fit on the body. I wonder if a good example for what I'm thinking of where objects come to life. Have you seen Beauty and the Beast? Like in the Disney version, obviously everything has faces, but where there's like a wardrobe that's alive or a teapot. That's kind of what I'm thinking of when I'm saying sometimes objects that aren't strictly toys become inspirited. When I think of toys as one, I think they're cool. I think they're like fun to draw and design. I think mascot horror is interesting, but that's not the only avenue there is, to explore hauntings. We're gonna need to stuff this. That looks more like a flower stem. It looks almost like a hat. There's a hat with a little stem coming out of it. It's kind of fun to me to think about the ocean in the time period of Victorian England in America, because as far as I know, just swimming for fun wasn't as popular at the time. We didn't have the same technology to make swimsuits. You could get cold and wet and get sick a lot more easily. And I wonder if that's one of the reasons there was so much mystery around the ocean and its creatures, like mermaids or selkies. It's something I could have fun exploring. We're gonna have to do a lot of double crochet and half double crochet. That's probably what'll make this taller, and then it'll like grip on to the mushroom base. I know it's not a mushroom. I just said that, but it looks like a mushroom. We're gonna have to decrease some, probably to make it like a little brim so it grips. So it's two decreases, then I single crochet, then I half double crochet, two double crochet, another half double crochet, and a single crochet. And then you just do that a couple more times. Oh, I think it's supposed to look, see how it's like round? I think it's supposed to look like sepals. When I'm talking about all these negative emotions, I don't really think they're always negative. Like, I don't think it's automatically bad to be angry or selfish, for example. I think that's just normal. But what I'm talking about with the toys is those things kind of went unchecked and how they were raised or otherwise cared for as as much as you can when you're making a bunch of toys is that's kind of all they got. Hmm. The numbers aren't lining up right now. Like, I did what it said, but it didn't work. Looks like a little mouth. Ah, let's see if it fits. This happens at least one time every do a pattern. Every time I do a pattern, I feel like I do what it says, but it still doesn't work. Okay, I think it's supposed to look like this, but it says slide over body and secure. I think that means just sew it on, so I should be able to do that. I should probably put it on first real quick. Sure, so we know if I'm doing it right. Okay, this should be the front. This here. I'll put a pin on it just in case. This looks like the picture. Okay, I gotta fasten up first. Okay, this should probably just be a simple whip stitch. Let me check just in case. Yeah, that's what it wants me to do. Sometimes I'll just think I know what a pattern means and kind of work ahead, but then I tend to mess up. So I'm trying to not do that. Aw, that looks kind of cute already. I have a needle that is bigger than this and much easier to use with yarn, but I always lose it. So I need to find a better place for that. I don't know what I did, but for some reason I've had a hard time actually putting my pins into the pin cushion. And that's like the opposite of what a pincushion is supposed to do, so I'm kind of confused. Okay, this didn't say to stuff the stem at all, so I'm not really worrying about it. But if it comes up later, I'll put like wire in it. Okay. How does that look? It almost looks like little clothes. I wonder if we could make the ears, even if it's just one ear. They're super cute. I think Flabebe actually like float around, but this looks like it would hop on just one leg eternally. Let me see. Okay, I think we can make one ear. Two, three, five, six. I'm gonna need two stitch markers for this. Hold on. I don't think I've ever made something. I've made things that start with a ring before, but I don't think I've made it, then made it into a flat shape, which you can see here. It starts with a ring, but out here it's flat. That should be interesting. They remind me almost of butterfly wings or flower petals, obviously. So I wonder if that's what inspired the shape of Flabebe's ears. Like they don't just look like human ears, and they don't just look like pointy fairy ears. They look very unique. But maybe looks also like it has a little ring of pollen on its head. And I don't think flowers normally have those, but I also feel like that's a thing that happens. Like, is that something bees do? I don't know, because I feel like it's a reference to something, but I don't remember what. My arm is getting tired. What I think about with the haunted house story is I might have it just look like a normal house at first. Well, obviously, it's not very normal anymore, but it looks like at one point it was a normal house. There's like a kitchen, there's a dining room, things like that. There's what looks like a kid's room. But the further you get into it, you could realize like there never was a kid here. So why was there all these toys? Oh, they're being created. Well, why are they being created then? Well, maybe they're just to be sold. Was there ever a kid here, or was this just like for photo shoots? I'm debating how we should have the reader find this stuff out, the story of what happened in House before. And this is all still early days. I'm not super concerned about having a completely solid plan yet, but I like how in some video games you'll find things out just through records like diaries or audio logs, or you have to use context clues. And I wonder if I could get that to come across in a book and if that would work well here. Okay, now I think I'm getting to the part where we make it flat. Gotta be very careful. Even if this was a book, I wonder if making it illustrated could make it kind of interactive. Like, when someone puts lots and lots into an illustration, you can keep coming back and noticing new things. If there was a part of the book that took place in a garden, for example, it would be awesome to have an illustration of that. And as you look closer, maybe there's something hidden in the details. Like maybe someone's hiding behind a tree or there's something hidden in the flowers. I messed that up a little bit. Okay, I just gotta single crochet this one. Hold on, sorry. Six and eight. One more. Oh, actually, no, this needs to have eight. Okay, that's fine. I wonder if we could play it like maybe the community didn't know what was going on in the haunted house, before it was haunted, back when it was thriving, but also evil. Maybe have them say, well, we can't go control what happened in the past, but we can control what we do now. Now we have a bunch of haunted toys. So maybe we can at least teach them what it means to be kind and good to others. Okay, I gotta sew this up. I've misplaced my needle again. Okay, I'm not going to worry about that for now because I need to do this part. Remember how I said Flabebe's ear has two little points? I think this is the smaller one, and then we need to attach to this part and make the bigger one. And then we'll be done the first ear. This should be 11 stitches around, so let's see if I got that right. Also, the last three need to be in the back loops only. Hmm, it's not quite it. I tend to avoid it because I don't like doing it, but I think I need to get in the habit of tying off my ends as soon as I create them, because otherwise they get in the way and they get really annoying. Okay, good. If I'm not talking a lot right now, it's because I've never done this exact thing in a pattern before, so I'm focusing really hard to make sure I don't mess it up. I'm counting to make sure I got everything right. Okay, 12. Next we just do 12 around like a normal row, except we got here very differently. I'm curious about why those last three had to be in the back loops only, because so far that doesn't really seem to be affecting anything, but maybe that'll be more obvious once this is all done. Okay, now we make it smaller. So I was right. This is the bigger point. I wonder where the idea came from that fairy sparkle. It's something I know very little about, but you hear about it a lot in modern fairy tales, like Disney fairies. I wonder if a long, long time ago, people just saw, like, you didn't see as many sparkling things. So maybe they saw it as like a big deal, and that's where it became associated with magic. I don't really want there to be like a real child to have ever lived in this haunted house. But what I might have instead of that is like a doll, and that could tie into the idea of this house looks normal, but it's not. It's haunted. This looks like it was a fun place to be, but it wasn't. It was where a lot of greed and evil happened. In this case, this looks kind of like a normal human kid, but no, this is actually a toy that came to life. I don't necessarily want them to be evil, but it could show how a lot of stuff that looks normal isn't. And that's why things are kind of out of place here. Okay. So this we should finish off as the other point, which is just sewing it closed. This is actually a part of crocheting I really like, is where you close everything up. When I do it well, I think it looks really pretty. Okay. Okay. Then I can cut this off in a minute. Looks pretty cool. I think I could stand to patch up another part of this real quick. Hold on. Okay. 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 Look, it's a little pointier than I expected, but this is a fairy ear. I probably should have expected that. So we put one of these on one side and then we'll do the other. We will do that in the next one.